Hi, this is Sandy Jo at Rhinestonetemplates.com, and we're back here working in the Rhinestone Template Studio today, and I'm going to be making this into a two-color transfer for you. So I wanted to go ahead and get started. This is the template that we actually had taken and cut out a little while ago, and I was showing you how to weed it. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you the tools that we're going to get started with today. I'm working with green rubber template material that I cut the template out of. I'm working with my new purple Easy Lift workstation that we have right here, and has an easy strip over on the other side here so that we can attach our transfer tape onto it. I'm going to be working with one of my rhinestone scoops, a tweezer, a rhinestone brush, and possibly my big brush too, because this is a big fill design. I might just work with my big one and then come back and fill in with my little one. So those are the tools that we're working with. Other than that, we're going to be working with low lead Korean 10SS stones today. I'm going to be working with the light topaz and the clear. And you can find the rhinestones and the other products all on my website too, if you like what you see with my products when I'm working with them. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and load up my stones, and I'm going to put a lot of stones on here, and this is our base color of the first color of the template that we're going to be doing. And I'm going to go ahead and just start brushing some of these light topaz stones in, which are a real pretty gold, and get those going in here, and then we'll come back in and fill in with our second color, which we're going to be using a clear in the fleur-de-lis part, and then in the outside part as well. So you just use a real light touch working with your big pad here, and when you're done and you're switching colors with the pad, always take in, and I'll show you how to do that too, take and just make sure you don't have any of the stones stuck in it before you go to your second color. Otherwise if you do, you're gonna flood your template with the second color. Oh, I see we have a pretty red in there somehow that got into those stones. So we'll make sure and get that one out. And we're just about flooded here. Any of the ones that aren't in, we'll just come back in and put those in, you know, one by one here. So I'm just going to start getting some of these out of the way. And I'm going to scoop up a little bit more and bring some back on to fill in some of our spots here. If you're more comfortable working with the smaller applicator, just work with whatever's comfortable with you. I work with the small and the large one. It just kind of depends on the design that I'm filling in with stones, and you know what I feel comfortable with working it with at that time. Alright, we'll get some of these extras off. There'll be a few that we'll just fill in with our tweezer or our little brush. And of course I've got to get rid of that red one. I actually considered doing this in red, so that's kind of funny. Okay, and I'm going to use my scoop to get all the stones out of our area. We don't want to get those mixed in with any of our clear stones. When you're working with the green template material on the flock, the reason I'm doing that, I guess I should tell you that, the reason I'm doing it is just because it's an anti-static barrier, and I'm doing it in a way right now that because I can work fast, it'll let me layer up these colors all on top of each other. What I would suggest when you first work with a green rubber template material on top of a flock material, I would go ahead and actually put extra flock around all of my edges so you don't get stones that are caught underneath there. but for the purpose of the video, we just put it on down there. And if I'm just doing one or two, it's not a problem. I do that, and then if I have stones underneath here, which I do, there's a couple of them caught underneath there. When I'm done with the transfer, I just take those off. Okay, now I'm just going to kind of go over and roll over and get some of my extras off that I have on top of here. And then let's get in and get that red one out of there. He's gone. And let's put in some of our missing spots. We'll put in, oops, we'll put in the spots, and you can see the purple or whatever color you're working through, just like working with the sticky flock template. You can see it against the color of template material that you're working with. There are times when I work with a certain color of material just because if I'm working with a stone that is too close to that color of material, I like to have a contrast so I can see when a stone is really in there or there's a missing stone. So if I was working with a hot pink stone, I would not work with the hot pink template material with sticky flock. I would go with the gray or the green or the dark blue, one of those colors. Okay, that looks pretty good. We've got all of our missing ones in there. So now let's look and just do an eyeball over and make sure we don't have any extras sitting in there. That looks pretty good. Okay. And they're all sitting right side up, and that's important for us too, so we can get them out of there. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take and get our transfer tape, and sometimes I do this ahead of time, get our transfer tape set up, and I do a situation or a way of doing it that I call bookending. And how I do that is I'm going to roll this over here just so you guys can see what I'm actually doing over here. I've got my strip over here on the workstation, and then I have my table over here. And I'm going to come in, and I can see that I really only need this much here to pick up the stones. So I'm going to come way off to the side. I'm going to stick it down on my table and my workstation here, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bookend it over. And you can do that before if you want, but I've already got my stones in, so now what you do is just come in and just lay this on top of your stones, and it will pick up your stones. And the little faster that you lay it over, the better it will be. Otherwise it has a tendency to have static on it. And I have one here that flipped upside down that will have to flip right side up when we're all done. So when that's done, then you just come back and peel it, hold your green rubber template down if you're using it on a flock station, and just go ahead and hold your template down and just start pulling up. And what's going to happen is your stones are going to come up with, if some of those stones don't come up, you can go back, and I roll it off. I'm kind of rolling it, not lifting it straight up, if you can see that. Again, when you get this far, just hold your template down, and everything will be just great. And so far it hasn't left any stones behind. If it did, though, you could roll this back and actually put this back over, and with your finger just press on like you've seen me do in some of my other videos, and press on that. Now I'm going to roll this all the way back off of the area where the camera's at, but I'm just going to roll it, and that's why I overlapped onto my station, and I overlapped onto my work table really well, because I need to get this out of the way for when I take and I put my second color in. The last thing I want to do is when I'm brushing in my second color. And I have it now sitting just on the edge of my workstation, and it's still on the table. And I'm just going to see if I have any that I need to push down, and there's just a couple. I see I've got to get that one that turned over out of there, so I'm going to do that now. And just replace that with a different one there. And so go ahead and get that in there, and I'm going through and just kind of pushing down my stones. I know you can't see that, but I like to just check at this point. I check at the end too, but at this point I just like to really give it a good check. I do see one spot where I have a stone that's missing. There, we just put that in there. Okay, oh, and here's a stone that's missing right here. Okay, so I've got that out of the way. I'm going to get rid of my gold stones on my station, but I also told you I wanted to show you a way of, and at this point I would just come underneath here and see if there's any stones underneath there. Whoops, there's one there too. Oh no, there's not. Okay. There was one, so I got it out of the way, and that's not too bad, having just one stone underneath there. Now, at this point, you can see the stones that are caught in my big pad when I use the big pad. So just take your fingernail or your finger and just run it over there and get those stones out of there. Otherwise, if you didn't and you went to your second color, third color, fourth color, you're going to be transferring those stones all over the place, and that's not good. And I'm just going to clean up my workspace here for a second. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my gold stones. Get them back in so I don't get them mixed up. Last thing you want to do is get your stones mixed up. And these scoops are wonderful for that. Okay, here's one here. These I'm just going to push off over the side. I'll grab these later on. They're not going to be interfering at all. Okay, so the gold ones are out of the way. Now I'm going to go ahead and take and put my clear ones. Whoops, can't do that. I get my second template, and you line up your templates the same way as you would if it was a sticky flock template. So you just go ahead and line it up on top of your other template. It'll stick really nice. Just stick it down. And this is going to be our second color here. And because it's cut, you know, perfectly in these weeding boxes that we put around all of our downloads and all of our templates, it'll just show up just really, really well and line up.